Today, we are going to work on your short game. No matter how good you get your golf swing for the long game, you are going to miss greens. Maybe you end up on the fairway, the short grass. Perhaps you're in the longer grass around the greens or bunker shots. But here's the thing, there are so many variables, so many options, so many tips out there. We can't remember them all, especially when it counts on the golf course. So I'm going to show you one key thing to do so you can keep it exceptionally simple and get up and down more often. No matter what happens, you are going to have this scenario where you're just a little bit short of the green, you're on the fringe, fairway, whatever you may want to call it. Now, you can take a less lofted club and bump and run it, and the same kind of principles apply to what I'm going to tell you. So you choose which one you feel more comfortable with. I'm just demonstrating with a sand wedge right now. When we're around the fringe, the thing we need to avoid most is sort of chunking it or trying to help it up. So let's make it simple by turning it more into a putting stroke. You can sort of set up to it like you would a putt, okay, with the same sort of grip. But if you do that, I would suggest you use an 8 or 9 iron. For a sand iron, I'm going to stand a little bit closer to the ball. Instead of being out here, I'm actually making sure that as I stand close, this club is more or less, well, it's more vertical than it is past the 45, okay? So I'm making sure that the shaft is a little bit higher. Why? Bad shots happen when we create too much friction with the turf. This is where we have to time it perfectly and get ball first, then turf. When we raise up the heel by this manner, we actually reduce friction on the bottom. So we use the bounce of the club, but there's less that we have to rely on. So we can basically do a very simple action that is more reliable and has less turf interaction, which means more consistency. The last little thing I'm going to do is actually just feel like I'm using my wrists a lot less. I'm not staying dead rigid with them. I can still feel the weight of the club, but I'm not letting it flop around in this way. I'm feeling a sort of a putting action, but I can accelerate. But when I'm accelerating, I'm not allowing the club to pass. I'm sort of feeling like those thumbs are pointing down, always. My thumbs are pointing down. So I stand closer. I raise up those hands. I do a nice simple backswing and keep those thumbs pointing down. It's a much easier technique to just get it close. Just missing the green on some tougher courses, you're going to have some rough around the greens. These get tricky because we have to still accelerate through, otherwise we end up just sort of duffing them short. If the ball is a little bit buried, the technique that we just worked on is not going to work that often, especially if it's sat down a little bit. You'll just end up chunking it, right? So without changing much else about the setup, we're still going to have the feet pretty close together. I've still got a decent hold on the club. We are not having the shaft as steep as we were before. We're not trying to raise up the heel. You can do that way if you're really struggling with this technique, but I would urge you to practice just a smidge to get used to this. Because what we're trying to do, we're trying to make sure we actually allow the club to pass under the ball and through the rough. And we do that by actually releasing it. Now, this doesn't mean that we're jarring it that way. We're not trying to keep the hands far ahead. We're not keeping the thumbs down this way. We're actually just allowing the weight of the club to pass through. Just this nice little momentum. But you notice, I'm not just doing my wrists. I'm not completely letting them buckle. I'm just allowing the weight and momentum to glide underneath. Almost like the golf ball is a flower and we're just trying to cut the stem underneath it. And what that's going to do, when you trust it, you're going to be able to accelerate through, pop that ball up, and pretty much remove the likelihood of just sort of fluffing it a little bit short or even doing the double hit. So we take that setup and we just trust, I'm going to feel that club head pass under the ball and it goes up and around. And every time you can have a nice little chance at saving par. Quick bonus tip. People often forget the necessity of a nice tempo and cadence when it comes to the shorter shots. Don't get snatchy, don't try and do too slow. Have a nice smooth tempo, just as you would if you were just hand throwing it, tossing it underneath. How would that feel? You wouldn't snatch it this way, you wouldn't be too slow, you would just let the ball throw out your hand nice and smooth. That cadence, that tempo is going to serve you well with every shot around the green. Put those three things into action the next time you play. I promise you, you will consistently shoot better scores when you don't screw up as much. And it's going to give you more confidence when you get to the next tee. If you want to make sure that you don't miss as many greens in the first place, this lesson is going to help you a ton. And yes, it's simple. Thanks for watching.